Tonight we're going to catch fireflies. At this blunt declaration from your sister, you look up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Fireflies were a familiar sight over summer, coming out on warm nights to dance through the sky. Tonight was particularly balmy. Why does this kid have such good vocabulary? They're 8. They're 8 years old. I would never even say these words now. You knew there were bound to be a ton of them around. Oh, you are you? Yeah, you started eating faster. You looked over at your mom's. You pushed your food around your plate. I feel like the correct response would be to start eating faster, but I'd probably push my food around my plate. You pushed your food around your plate. You like catching fireflies just as much as the next kid, but you wish Lizzie would ask what you wanted to do for a change. Oh. That's not why I picked that option. Whatever. That's a good idea, Lizzie. Can we, Mrs. Storm? Shiloh tapped his fork against the table excitedly, his face lighting up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be here. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before her job started. But normally, she would have picked him up by now. She called before dinner to let your mom know she'd be late. You didn't hear why, probably more work things. You thought maybe getting to hang out with Shiloh for longer is what made Lizzie want to keep running around outside. Staying at home and watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you were pretty sure she'd get your mom to agree. It's already so dark out there. Lizzie gave Mom the best puppy dog eyes she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while you wait there for their response.
There.
Let them go. Nights like this don't happen every day. Your parents exchanged a look, then Mom eventually sighed and nodded back. Okay, I get it. This makes sense now. Yes! Fine. Just make sure you stay on the hill behind our house with all the poppies, okay? Mom, that's where most of them are. The idea had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all the glowing lights spread out in front of you, like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mommy read sometimes. Lizzie and Shiloh started digging into their food, and it soon became a race to see who could finish their dinner first.
Great.
Aren't you excited to go outside and play, Z? You gave a non-committal shrug. Z's just mad because I always catch the most. Lizzie boasted proudly, her mouth full of food, and Mom gave her a stern look. Elizabeth! A knock on your door interrupted Mom before she could no doubt scold your sister. I'll get it! Your big sister jumped out of her seat and ran over to the door, pulling it open without even looking out the window to see who it was. You shifted in your seat to try and get a glimpse of the unexpected guest.
Hi.
Good evening, Cove. Your mommy had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see past Shiloh's flappy hat. Cove? You had no idea why he was here all of a sudden, but you supposed it wasn't worth worrying over. Instead, your eyes landed on Lizzie, who was looking at Cove, like he had come here specifically to ruin all of her plans. Then, for a few seconds, Cove said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your mommy with a face almost like he was considering turning around and leaving. My dad told me to drop this off because I guess he borrowed it from you. Cove took a familiar screwdriver from out of his large side pocket. Eyes now dropped to the floor. We left ours back home when we moved. Great, thanks, bye!
Thank you.
Here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms and lifted her chin. Cove shrugged, and Mom stood there from the table too. I'll give your dad a call to let him know you got here alright. Cove shuffled fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mommy closed the door behind him. Hi, Cove! He sounded like Balloon from FNAF. Shiloh gave Cove a friendly smile while waving by, holding up his hand, and opening and closing his fingers. Cove nodded in response. Cove, are you gonna catch fireflies with us? You could come outside with us if you want to. You weren't sure what to say. I'd probably say the second option. You could come outside with us if you want to. I don't force it. Or if I was a kid, I wouldn't really care. Yeah, I probably wouldn't care. Like, now I'd probably be like, if you want to, like, I feel like as we get older, we, like, overthink stuff so often. But as a kid, it's just like, whatever. We really need that confidence back when we get older, but you think it'd be the opposite way around, but nope. You could see Lizzie eyeing you for mentioning the excursion to excursion, I can read. Excursion to an outsider, but she'd get over it. Why is she so mean to him? God, be nice to my friend. I'm nice to your friend. If Code said no, you'd understand though. Catching fireflies wasn't something that everyone liked to do. I want to see them. I never caught one before. It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. The fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must not have been anywhere he used to live. What places don't have fireflies? Like, I assumed he moved from America. Maybe he didn't. I'm just assuming. I'm once again, I'm assuming that we're in Hawaii or something, you know? Or maybe even Florida, I don't know. We can't go until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Ko stepped closer and eyed what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. What do you have? Eggs. The clipped one-word answer seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions. His eyes slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. Her phone call with Ko's dad must have ended because your mom came back into the room. Ko, your dad said you could stay for a little while if you'd like, but he's going to come get you before it gets too much later. Sure.
Fine.
This will be so nice. As you polished off the meal, you hoped it would be too. The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far. It's fine, Mom. Shiloh trailed so closely after Lizzie. He was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the door. Coming? After a moment, he did.
Bye.
Children. The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh. By the time you walked outside, you pushed the door shut behind you, watching their figures get farther and farther away. This kid's so much better than me. I remember so many times as a kid I'd be told, close the door behind you, and I never did. I still don't even do that now. I'm so dumbfounded. I don't know why I never remember.
Hurry up!
You're so slow, Z. We don't have all night. You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling you, but paused when you saw Ko still walking at a relaxed pace. You're not gonna come. You tugged him along. You walked with him. You waved at him to hurry. You ran off. See, I feel like once again, it's like I'm really like thinking about how like I used to think as a kid. It's so differently than I think now. Like probably now I'd probably just chill with him and ask him like, oh, do you want to run or do you want to just chill? Probably as a kid, I'd wave at him to hurry. Let's catch up. Ko stayed silent. He didn't look too excited by the idea, instead dragging his feet along the pavement as he followed behind you. Shrugged your shoulders. If Ko didn't want to stay with the group, then you meet them on your own. You reached the hill in no time, just behind Lizzie and Shiloh, who were standing on top, surrounded by bright, winking lights. There was barely any wind, which made it perfect for the little lightning bugs to be out exploring the big, wide world. A grin broke across your face as you raced to join them, admiring the fireflies that bobbed around like buoys, that's the word, on a wave in the moonlight. It looks so weird right now. Where's Cove? He's coming. You put him behind. Sure enough, after a second, Cove rounded the corner, still not in any sort of rush. Shiloh took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill. Hi guys, it's really great out, huh? See how many there are? Yeah. A firefly danced through the air, landing on Cove's sea green head. Shiloh couldn't help but giggle. You and Shiloh couldn't help but giggle. You quietly looked odd. You shooed the bug away. I'd probably giggle with Shiloh. Covering your mouth with a hand, the sound escaped you, and Cove looked at you in confusion. What?
Oh.
Look, Lizzie has one! That's amazing! Shiloh ran to the highest point of the hill, making sure not to lose his hat or backpack along the way. You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozens of other fireflies sailing around. The game was on. You had a bandage on your thumb, and you tried to be cautious of that. You had a bandage on your palm, and you tried to be cautious of that. You had two bandages on your hand, and you tried to be cautious of that. You were good at not getting cuts or scratches, so you weren't too worried. Huh. I feel like I wouldn't pick any of these options because I feel like as a kid I would get a lot of cuts. But I wasn't cautious. I was like, that's how I kept getting more cuts. It's like, from me not learning my lesson. But I'll go with the thumb, because I remember specifically just having a bandage on my thumb. Like, I don't know, this is such a vivid memory for me, but it was like, I had a bandage on my thumb because I think I had a blister there or something like that. And I kept it there for so long, like maybe like a month or 2 months. And then I remember like taking it off and it was just so white under there. Like, just such a vivid memory of that. Spotting one close by, you approached it with assassin-like stealth, crouching down to make yourself seem like less of a threat. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept up towards it, arms outstretched. You closed your hands around the little glowing orb, careful not to crush it. The firefly landed on your palm, almost docile, and you stared down at your prize in delight. Its tiny legs tickled your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Cove kept up with his own target, but when he tried to grab it, his pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his efforts to clasp his hands around the firefly. I guess that would be hard. I wouldn't really know. I've never broken a bone, actually. Cove watched it vanish into thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. You encouraged him to try again. You told him about the firefly you had. You made a joke about what happened. You did your own things. I wouldn't encourage him to try it again, because it's like, of course this is not going to work. His cast is making it hard. So I would tell him about the one I had. Hey, want to see the one I got? Cove didn't notice you. He was more preoccupied with continuing the hunt, hopefully without his cast getting in the way this time. That was fine. You had your own plans. You decided to collect more. You decided to sit in the grass and watch. God, I really like this game because it's making me very nostalgic, and like, it's interesting to think about how different I am than I was as a kid. Because I would definitely sit in the grass and watch now, but as a kid I'd probably just collect more. With renewed vigor, you ran out into the hill. You're not sure how much time passed while you were in the thick of it. Oh, isn't that like that Backyardigans song that got really popular? Like, into the thick of it? Like, oh, I can't even do it. But it's all you could focus on was the adventure at hand. No critter was safe from your grasp. At first, you tried to keep a tally of how many you had caught, but once the number grew higher than 10, you had no more fingers left to count with. You were having the time of your life, racing up and down the hill with the crash of the ocean and the sound of everyone's laughter echoing in the background. Eventually, the fireflies began to thin out, and your energy started to lapse. You decided it was time to call off the hunt. Z, Cove, get up here! We're gonna have a race! The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from Lizzie or Shiloh. You glanced over to see them both standing on top of the hill again, Lizzie beckoning you with quick hand gestures. If she was like that, you knew there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went, from the corner of your eye, you saw Cove was coming as well. He didn't care for Lizzie a lot, so you thought he might be intrigued just by the idea of a race. Hi! Sometimes they didn't do that balloon boy hi again. Hi, Cove. You can't roll down the hill. You could hurt your arm again. You'll be the referee for the rest of us. Oh, she sucks. She sucks. Who even thinks about that? She hates him. He's like, as a kid, we'd be like, who cares? As Lizzie pointed this out, Cove froze in place. Oh, it was that kind of race. He frowned down at his cast. That was the second time he got in the way tonight. What? Yeah, you'll watch and see who gets to the bottom first. That's important. Got it?
I guess.
The cast was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have just been looking for a reason to make someone else their free, but it was already decided. You get into position for the race. I'll stay with Cove. I'm gonna do something else. I'd probably do the race. Satisfied with this, Lizzie moved to lay down and Shiloh did the same. Cove stood slightly to the side to get a better vantage point. It seemed like he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously. Countdown! You quickly got into position as well, resting your side in the grass and tucking your arms close to your chest. 3, 2, 1, go! The three of you took off, letting gravity to do the work and rolling at high speed towards the bottom. You squeezed your eyes shut, a delighted laugh leaving you and consequently allowing a few blades of grass into your mouth. You sputtered, reaching up to wipe them away. threw off your balance and sent you careening sideways. Yeah. Everyone started too close together because a slight turn made you then Shiloh, and then Lizzie collide into a heap. You tumbled down the last few feet in a pile. Shiloh's elbows was in your stomach, and you were pretty sure Lizzie's hair was in your mouth, but you had survived. Perhaps it wouldn't have been safe for Cove after all. You could hear him laughing in the distance. When you opened your eyes, you saw the starry sky above, and Cove still on top of the hill, staring down at the three of you with an amused look on his face. Hey, cool crash. I think Shiloh was the first one at the bottom. That didn't count. We needed a redo. Kids, it's time to come in. No. You sighed, not knowing if it was from contentment or exasperation, and closed your eyes again.